In another life, I won a game show. And the game show, my grand prize was a tour of the eastern United States via bus. So I had to fly from LA to New York, which sounds really posh, but you know, it wasn't. And get picked up at the hotel. And actually, it was a very cool experience because while I had won this trip, within the first day, about halfway through the day, I realized that everyone that I was with, basically I was with a bunch of Aussies, a bunch of New Zealanders, there was an Israeli girl there were a couple of British girls, about 20 people packed in this bus, and it was a very cool experience. Most of the Aussies and the Kiwis, as you might expect, just filled coolers with ice and liquor and beer and sat in the back of the bus, which was totally cool. The way they structure it is that they want you to be sociable and pal around. So I had a friend next to me, Tim from Australia, and we just kind of talked and all of that sort of stuff. And it was fine, it was cool. One of our first stops was Washington, D.C. Now, what struck me on that first day, though, was that I had won the ride to be there. All of these internationals had actually paid thousands of whatever their currency was to be on that trip. So, you know, kind of made me proud to be an American. And at any rate, so we got going. One of our first stops was in Washington, D.C., and this row of museums, Smithsonian's there. The Holocaust Museum is also there. And I'm not going to quibble or go off on any rants, but if you've never been to the Holocaust Museum, you should go. I know there are a bunch of people who might want to quibble about history, but if you go to the Holocaust Museum, one of the first things that they do, the one in DC, is your first experience is to actually walk through one of the train cars they actually filled people with and shoved off to whatever place to be murdered. You come out of that car, and there's this huge shipping net, the kind that they put crates and things to load on trucks, filled with hundreds of pairs of shoes of people who have been slaughtered. And you realize the numbers don't matter. People died. I came out of there, I tried to put my Ferris Bueller shades on and be cool, but I had just tears coming down my cheeks. Tim, my Aussie buddy, he like looked at me and we couldn't talk. And we as a group, because you know they want you to go off and have these experiences in groups, we went over to like this little glade, shell-shocked, tried to get it together. Now in our group was this Israeli girl who, I think her name was Ingrid. She had this gorgeous blonde curly hair that just exploded out of her, and she danced with that and tossed around, just full of energy, and she was a great girl. But she was obviously quite traumatized and frustrated by this whole situation. She was outraged, right? And she would go back and forth. And I remember there was this point where she was just like, I am a Jew! Oh my God. And I want everyone here to know this! I want to fight somebody! Now, being the guy that I am, if it takes, you know, getting a woman to physically assault me to get her to touch me, well, you know, clackety-clack, let's go to the, you know, I don't really like cuffs though, but that's not what I wanted to tell you. What happened was, recognizing this, now there's two other things to recognize. I myself, I trained a bit in martial arts, I trained in stunts, stage combat, and all of that, so to me, I'm a bit of a scrapper. So she says she wants to fight, right? Here's the other thing, she's Israeli. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Israelis, when they turn 18, they go into the military. So this girl, and she was proud of her military training. So her saying she wanted to fight somebody, I was like, let's go. She was 5'3", 5'4". She was like, really? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, bring it. Right? And she just came right at me and we're wrestling. And I'm tossing her around because, you know, we're wrestling. She could probably really, if she wanted to, do some serious damage. But we're blowing off steam, right? hit this point where I do my Star Trek Federation judo flip, which you laugh, but it's a real thing. And basically what you do is you grab your person, Star Trek Original Series, Star Trek Next Generation. You grab your person, right? You push. They resist against you. When they resist against you, you drop backward, take your foot right underneath, over they go, right? And any Star Trek fan will recognize that maneuver. I was so proud of it, I just kind of hopped up. I was like, yeah, you know, Kirk, Tasha Yar, whatever. And, you know, it was like, fighting the Israeli girl, where the hell did she go? You know, and she's like recovering, and then I look over as I'm looking around for her, and I see this guy, he's not with our group, he's watching us, right? And I realize, oh, that's right, we're in the middle of a park. And it's kind of loud, and, you know, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. That's the first thing. The second thing that came right on top of this is, I need to lose. What am I doing fucking around, tossing her around? She's outraged. She needs justice. She needs to whoop my ass, right? So the next time she comes at me, whack, we lock up, down we go, and I use my professional stunt experience to calmly lower us to the floor. And we're scrapping and wrestling, and she pins an arm, she pins another arm, and I say, yeah, okay, you got me, boof. That night, we were very kind to each other. And I'm not saying that we, you know, but we took care of each other. Now, one of the reasons why I talk about this story is because we went in, we witnessed this horrific violence against people, but we resolved it with violence. And even consensual sex is violent, as much as we enjoy it. So violence is a piece of humanity. It's simply a question of degrees. So now, the last little epilogue that I just want to put on this thing is that a couple of days later, I'm riding with my Aussie friend Tim, and he's like, oh, them guys in the back, they're all pissed at you, mate. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do? And I'm not going to try and do the accent anymore, but apparently there was a bet on who was going to get the Israeli girl. And the damn Yank just fucked it all up for him. So I'm like, yeah, good on you, mate, fair dinkum. There you go.